What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to EP09. And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, we are officially 4 weeks out from the 2025 Arnold Classic. The level of suffering is at its highest at this point in the competitor's preparation for one of the biggest shows in bodybuilding. And if you're not suffering at this point, it's going to cost you when you hit that stage. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Welcome back to EP09 Bodybuilding, one competitor that has been shredded, I think, longer than anyone else going into this show, Akim Williams. Really showing a new level of conditioning, although I do think he's starting to flatten out just a bit from what we can see. The biceps especially, you guys, absolutely ridiculous separation in those biceps, unmatched in the IFBB Pro League currently. Akim Williams definitely on point. It seems like this guy has stayed conditioned really since he won the Big Man Classic back in December, which did qualify him for the 2025 Olympia. A lot of people forget about that at this point. So the pressure is really off for Akim Williams, but it does look like he's going to bring yet again a very conditioned package to the Arnold Classic stage. And that's something where Akim was lacking for a number of years, really. It certainly looks like those days are behind him at this point. Akim is looking conditioned. He is looking absolutely ridiculous. Chris Aceto has this guy so well dialed in at this point. Absolutely unbelievable. Now, we did talk yesterday a little bit about the dark horses going into this 2025 season. What we didn't talk about is the wild cards going into this season. And Akim Williams definitely a wild card going into this Arnold Classic. He will be as conditioned, if not the most conditioned competitor on that stage. I think almost without question at this point. However, one thing to consider with Akim, the reason that he's an actual wild card, he may have been in condition for too long at this point. You got to remember, Akim is also north of 40 years old, right? Eventually, the body is going to say, I've had enough. The question is, will that be the point that Akim is at when it comes to the Arnold Classic peak? We'll see what happens, but Akim, a serious wild card. If he nails it, he is definitely going to stand out on that stage. You have to remember as well, Akim does have a decent amount of height going into this show, which will be a considerable factor. You look at Samson Dauda, you look at Andrew Jack, some of the top competitors, and he'll be able to stand next to those guys and not look small. So you guys let me know what you think about this version of Akim Williams. Will he be able to maintain this going into the Arnold Classic? And will he be able to crack that top 6 in this show? You guys let me know below. There's definitely no shortage of Olympians at this Arnold Classic. There is no shortage of Arnold Classic champions going into this show. And Wesley Vissers being one of the most decorated going into this lineup, looking to defend his 2 Arnold Classic titles. And Wesley is looking absolutely ridiculous at this 4-week out mark. He is looking absolutely shredded to the bone. Although Wesley has looked like this, I think, since really maybe around the 8-9 week out mark, where we really started seeing this level of conditioning. I don't think that Wesley was ready too early, and that's one thing that I did see some people commenting on online. No, this is the wheelhouse for Wesley Vissers. He wanted to be ready at this point because he wanted to get down to that conditioning level so he can maintain an amount of fullness going into the show. It's actually one of his strategies working with Stefan Kinsel. As he said in a recent Q&A, one of the things he's doing, staying fuller for longer and letting the body be a lot more fresh on stage as a result. And part of that freshness is really just having that fullness in the legs while still having that conditioning, which I don't think is going to be a problem. But he does need to make sure that he has those legs up. We've talked about it before. We will talk about it again. Until he hits that stage, it is going to be something that is definitely a point of concern for Wesley Vissers, because really that's what cost him placings at the Olympia this year. And after winning 2 Arnold Classic titles in 2024 and then finishing 8th place at the Olympia, it just is not conducive with a 2-time Arnold Classic champion. So Wesley has a lot on the line here, and I think he knows that the pressure is really on at this point. Wesley is also not taking any risks when it comes to getting back on that Olympia stage. In case he does not end up winning the battle with Mike Sommerfeld at the Arnold Classic, we do have an announcement from Fouad Abiad. Wesley Vissers will go on to compete at the Detroit Pro, which puts him at about 8 weeks out at this point. So he is going to, I assume, remain in the United States in order to stay and compete at this show. I think this is actually a pretty interesting move for Wesley. There hasn't been a ton of talk online on who else is going to be showing up in the classic physique category for the Detroit Pro, but Wesley has to be the favorite going into this show. I mean, this would probably almost guarantee him his trip back to the Olympia if for some reason he does not defeat Mike Sommerfeld. Again, Mike taking second at the Olympia this year behind Chris Bumstead, pushing Chris Bumstead more than any other competitor in Chris's competitive career. So Wesley, like I said, has a lot on the line. Now, say Mike goes and does Detroit as well. Well, that could make it a very interesting season, but that's getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. From what we can see right now, Wesley is definitely on track, I think, to bring his best. I do think that he's probably going to end up winning the Arnold because we know that the Arnold is judged just a little bit differently than the Olympia. They go for that golden era look, and Wesley is by far the definition of the golden era when it comes to this modern day of classic physique. So the question remains of what version of Wesley Vissers we will get at the Arnold Classic in just 4 weeks. But you guys let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know what you think about this version of Wesley Vissers, and let me know if you think that Wesley going on to do the Detroit Pro, even if he does win the Arnold Classic, is a good move, or if he should just concentrate on the Olympia. And we have another absolutely insane update from our current Mr. Olympia, former Arnold Classic champion Samson Dauda. You guys, the word unbeatable really comes to mind when you see updates like this from Samson. This is absolutely insane. He is bigger, he is fuller, he is definitely looking more conditioned than we've ever seen. I mean, that Olympia victory really motivated Samson, I think, to come in and be even better than I think a lot of people even expected he could do. I mean, the arms are bigger, the shoulders look bigger, definitely looks better from the back. This is going to be an unbelievable show for Samson. He is definitely at that point of suffering in his prep. Talked about it on one of his recent YouTube videos, and this is exactly where I expected Samson to be at this point. You guys check it out.
I'm looking forward to getting this prep over and done with. You know, it feels like when you have the Arnold prep, it always feels like the longest one because it always feels like it's just a continuation of the Olympia prep. So it always feels like you've been prepping for a very, very long time. So when you get this close to it and you're almost at the point where you can almost see the light at the end of the tunnel, you're just exhausted and you're just kind of just holding in there to make sure you get it over and done with. So,
and the level of suffering from Samson is a key point that I've recognized when it comes to his preps. I remember back at the 2022 Olympia when he was going into it, he literally just said that he wanted everyone to just leave him alone so he can just get through this. The guy was honestly really, really pissed off at that point in his prep. Now, of course, going into this being the Olympia champion, little bit of a different mindset. I think he's enjoying himself more, which probably is letting him be a little bit more relaxed, although he is suffering. But there's absolutely no doubt the suffering for Samson is a key factor when it comes to him bringing his best. If I see him suffering at 4 weeks out, I know that he's going to be at his best. So while Derek Lunsford is trying to decide between eating an oatmeal raisin cookie or a chocolate chip cookie around the 4 or 5 week out mark in his prep.
So what was the better option today, the chocolate chip or the oatmeal?
They were both great options. Both great options for me to have a great workout. Get huge, get shredded. Cookie pump.
Samson is in the trenches. He is living in that zone of suffering, and he is about to solidify exactly why he is the current reigning Mr. Olympia champion in the first quarter of the bodybuilding season. Now, there has been conversation back and forth on whether or not it will be Derek or Andrew taking second place to Samson, because in the opinion of most, it is going to be a battle simply for second place at this point. Not seeing a lot of physique updates from Andrew Jack going into this Arnold Classic, but from what we are seeing with these recent pictures at 4 weeks out, Andrew looks like he is staying big, he's full, he is vascular. It looks like his conditioning is pretty much on track from what we can see. From what we can see, again, the arms, the arms actually do look bigger, you guys. And that's one thing that he did bring up from 2024 as well. Doing this prep still over in Dubai, where I was expecting Andrew to travel over to the United States to train with Psycho Lewis again. Apparently that will not be happening. I did actually message Andrew about this, and he mentioned in a comment that I left on his Instagram, still tied up with work. Also, January needs stableness. I'm not sure exactly what January needs stableness means, if it's stability that he's looking for or if it's stability that Psycho Lewis is looking for. But this is Andrew's home base over there in Dubai, and he's been uploading on a very, very regular basis all of his training sessions. He is training hard. It doesn't look like he is losing any amount of strength at this point in his prep, and it looks like we're going to see a very impressive version of Andrew Jack. Andrew's still training with a good amount of intensity, still working with Chris Aceto as well. I have no reason to believe that Andrew is going to come in at any less than his best at this show, and I do think that he will end up taking second place to Samson. Maybe staying in Dubai was the best decision for Andrew Jack going into this Arnold Classic. But like I said, I do think that Andrew's going to be very impressive. This is going to be an unbelievable Arnold Classic, you guys, and it's only 4 weeks away. We're going to be doing an episode of the Bodybuilding Breakdown very shortly with our official preview and predictions. You guys let me know who you have in your top, let's say top 5 in the comments below. Comment me your top 5. We'll see exactly how that stacks up in the next few weeks. But you guys, I'm going to wrap up the video right here. Again, thank you guys for tuning into EP09. Be sure to like and subscribe.